friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to be sharing with you the 9 top books on my Goodreads list that's on my TBR. I was going to film other videos, but it's so rainy and gloomy outside today that I just figured I'd sit at my computer and look at some statistics with you guys. So let's get into it. So our first book on our Goodreads list is actually The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. So this one is the first one in the Percy Jacksons. It is about Percy, and he's a teenager that sees mythological creatures like start coming to life, and then he figures out that Zeus actually thinks that he stole his lightning rod. So Percy has 10 days to figure out where Zeus's lightning bolt is and get it back before the god of lightning wants revenge. So he has to go on this amazing quest, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows about Percy Jackson. So this book actually has an average rating of 4.3, which is amazing. Actually has 2,751,097 ratings on it on my Goodreads, which is an insane number. The next book on my Goodreads is actually Where the Crawdads Sing by Mila+Ains. This book I have not gotten around to yet. I've wanted to watch the movie, but I heard that it has a couple trigger warnings in it, so I haven't really gotten around to reading it yet. But it sounds really amazing. This one is actually a mystery where it follows a girl called the Marsh Girl. She lives in the marsh for several years, and it's kind of a coming to age book where she finally decides that the marsh isn't all that she wants anymore, and she wants to go into town, and she wants to find love, and she wants to have those romantic feelings for someone. And then she goes into town, and she actually decides that she likes 2 different boys. One of the boys ends up, I'm pretty sure it's 2 different boys. One of the boys actually ends up murdered. So then everybody is blaming this Marsh girl. And she has to figure out who actually killed this boy so that she isn't the one in trouble for it. I have heard nothing but wonderful things about this book and about the movie. So I can't wait to watch the movie for one. But I have put it off because of those trigger warnings, but I'm sure that they'll be fine. Just if you haven't gotten into this one, just know that that is a thing. And this one has a 4.4 average rating and 2,642,872 ratings on it. This is number 2 for the most popular book on my TBR. I'm not really sure why I'm doing these like backwards, where I'm starting at number 1 and then working my way to number 9, but we're just rolling with it. Okay, number 3 is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and this is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book follows Evelyn Hugo, and she is a Hollywood icon, and she actually decides that she's going to let everybody know about her life in kind of like a memoir. And she hires this unknown magazine reporter named Monique. And she lets Monique learn about her entire life through her show business for that 30 years from 1950s to the 80s. And where she has a very scandalous life, 7 husbands, ruthless ambitions for her career, and a forbidden love even. And then when Monique starts to actually hear the story, because she's so confused on why she actually got picked by this Hollywood icon to report this for her, she starts to realize that their lives are actually tragically intertwined with each other. So I think this is going to be a really good almost mystery. I don't think it is a mystery. I'm pretty positive it's not. But for the longest time, I thought this was like a real person until I started actually reading it and figuring out what it was about. But yeah, I am so excited to get into this book. I'm actually going to do Taylor Jenkins Reid's like all of her books at one, because I have like 4 of them and I've never read her books. But this book has a 4.4 2.44 average rating and 2,382,358 ratings on Goodreads, which is so many. Like, these first couple books are so close. It's crazy. Our next book is Verity by Colleen Hoover. This book has an average rating of 4.35, 2,093,364 ratings. And to have that good of a, like, Colleen Hoover is amazing. Everybody loves Colleen Hoover. But this book is completely out of, like, her normal book. So for this to be so popular, even though her romances are always really popular, is just crazy to me. To think that, like, people were so worried about this book because it was so out of, like, Colleen Hoover's typical book. But everybody has just absolutely loved it. Because this one follows Owen, and she's a struggling writer. And she takes a job for a man named, where is his name? Jeremy Crawford. And he is a husband of a best-selling author, Verity. And she had an accident where she can no longer write her novels. And her husband hires Lowen so that she can actually finish her books for her. So she comes in, she's so excited, and then she starts snooping through her office so that she can kind of get notes on where to go with her stories. And she finds an actual written memoir of all these secrets and all these deceptions. And I guess it's not a memoir, it's an autobiography. So as Lowen starts to have feelings for Verity's husband, she decides that maybe if she tells him about all these secrets in this autobiography, that maybe he will leave his wife and start to fall in love with her. So this seems very twisted, very cynical. Like, I don't know. It definitely sounds completely different than the rest of Colleen Hoover's books. But that is number 4 on my most popular. So now, of course, we are going to see A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I still have not gotten to this one. Obviously, it's still on my TBR. But this one has a 4.2 average rating and 1,678,456 ratings, which is a huge jump. That's almost like 300,000 reviews or ratings, which is a really big jump. Most of my other ones are pretty similar to this, but we're taking a big leap. But this one is so popular. I think the reason this one is actually further down in the list is because it's more of a, or because it is a fantasy. And I don't know if people just aren't as into fantasies as like the very hyped books out there. Recently, I feel like when I do see really hyped books, most of the time they're not fantasy. A lot of the times, maybe it's just because of what I'm looking for. I see a lot of romance and a lot of thrillers and things like that. Fantasy is a little harder for me to get into, so maybe that's why I'm not seeing as many of them, because I don't look for as many of them. But that is a very big jump. I'm not going to get into too much about what this one's about, because everybody knows what this is about, because everybody loves Sarah J. Maas, including me. And I can't wait to get that off of my TBR. Oops. Gotta mix that out of order. All right. Matt Hughes, The Midnight Library. This one I'm actually really surprised is on my Goodreads list as the top 9 that I have. I did the top 9 instead of the top 10 because there's a humongous jump from the top 9 one to the top 10 on how many ratings it has. But this one has a lot of trigger warnings. She's like very depressed. Let me just tell you what the book's about so then you guys understand a little better. If you have not read this and have not heard about it, it's supposed to be wonderful. You probably should read it at a time where you're mentally like happy, joyous. You can go ahead and read it and not be like upset at all. This book follows the Midnight Library, and it is between life and death, where all these books, each book has a different life in it, and you can read these books when you're in between and figure out if you made different life choices, how your life would have turned out. It affects you, but it also affects all the people around you that you know in your life and the people that you didn't know in your life. So it's kind of one of those like tempting fates, like you're messing with how the world was supposed to be or how your story was supposed to be. So this one actually follows, oh goodness, what is her name? Nora. So this follows Nora, and she has recently departed. She thinks that she made a bunch of horrible mistakes, regrets most of her life, and she is going to go ahead and try to change every single little thing that she did not like about her life. And eventually that kind of takes a turn, and it makes it where she's in danger, but she's also put the Midnight Library in danger. So she has to kind of figure out how to save herself and the library. And she, I'm assuming, needs to kind of come to terms with how she lived her life and be okay with that so that she can move on. I have heard nothing but amazing things, honestly. But the thing that I really have heard is that if you start to read this and you're just not feeling it, you need to just put it down and then just come back to it later on, because this is a book that will either upset you or it'll just be completely life-changing. So I think you just have to be in a really good mindset to read that one. Not 100% sure because I obviously haven't read it, but that's just what I've heard. The Selection by Kiera Cass is another one that's been on my TBR for so long. I'm destined to get it done. I was really surprised that I chose this for one of the books that I wanted to make sure I read by the end of the year. And then it ended up on my top 9 of Goodreads. So this one has a 4.09 average rating and 1,443,743 views. So this one is very high up there. I'm not sure how this one compares, like rating wise, compares to the other ones in this series, but I'm still really excited. This one follows America, and she is placed into the Selection, where the prince obviously is going to decide if she is one of these girls that he's going to decide to marry. One of the girls, if she is the girl he wants to marry. She doesn't want to, she's in love with someone else, and she has to go on this competition, but then she starts to spend time with the prince, decides that she actually does like him, and then she gets to decide if this new fancy living in a castle wearing pretty gowns is actually what her new life is going to look like. And maybe she's going to just change her mind about what she wanted in life. But it says 35 girls, 1 crown, the competition of a lifetime. Whoa. We are getting there, guys. Okay, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children has 392 on its not 300 now. Has a 3.92 on its average rating, and has a whopping number of 1,211,530 reviews on it. It says now it's a major motion picture. I have watched the movie and I loved it. It was adorable, but I didn't really ever feel like getting into the books. I don't know if it's because of like the pictures and stuff in it. Like they just seem so creepy. I thought of it more as like a horror. But it seems like it'd be a really quick read, especially since I've watched the movie. I love when you watch a movie and then you read the book and you get like those mental pictures of the movie while you're reading it. You can actually like think of what the characters look like and remember. I really love reading the books before watching the movies because then I get a little more excited about the movie. But this one follows Jacob. And Jacob is a 16-year-old who goes through a tragic accident that actually sends him to this abandoned island, remote island off the coast, where he actually discovers the Miss Peregrine's Home for children. So he goes and he's walking through the halls and everything, and he's realizing that maybe these children were sent to this remote island not just because they were orphans, but because they were dangerous and they have all these magical abilities and powers. And And then he starts to realize that maybe all of these children at Miss Peregrine's home might actually still be alive somehow. I can't wait to get into this. I don't know why I always say that. It's crazy. The movie was wonderful. I think the books might be a little better. I don't know. I thought that they were going to make more of the Miss Peregrine's books, but they just haven't. So we'll see. All right, Little Fires Everywhere is, it's actually on Hulu, yes, but I haven't watched the movie. I started to read this. I did. I kind of lost interest. I stopped. I picked up something else. It happens. But I'm really, really going to come back to it eventually. Maybe not super, super soon, but I will come back to it. This one is about the suburbs. It's Shaker Heights in this prestige area in the suburbs in Cleveland where everything's perfect. Everything's planned out. Your houses all look the same. Your yards are beautiful. And Elena Richardson is definitely a role player. She has a couple teenagers. I believe it's 2. And then, no, maybe 3. I think she has 2 sons and a daughter. And then a single mom with 1 daughter moves in. Her name is Mia. She doesn't care about the way that this community works. She's just her own artistic self. She's kind of rebel mom. And then, so Elena is determined to figure out all of Mia's secrets. Says she's determined to uncover all of Mia's secrets of her past, but her obsession will come at an unexpected and devastating cost. This one has a 4.08 average rating and 1,101,686 reviews. The next jump down is out of the millions. It's The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, but it is still really high up there on the actual average rating. It still has a 4.2, but it just doesn't have as many. It's not in the millions. Followed by, obviously, like Malibu Rising, Six of Crows is on here, and so forth. But those are my top 9 most popular books on my TBR according to Goodreads. And I actually have 297 books on that TBR list. So that gives you kind of a little bit more of a numbers game on where those books sit compared to other books. I obviously can't wait to get into all these. Some of them just aren't jumping out at me recently, but now that we're getting into gloomier seasons and away from this nice summer, then maybe they will. Maybe I'll just decide to jump on and start reading all of my most popular books or something. This video hopefully is short and sweet, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we didn't bore you too much with all of our statistics, but I think the statistics are pretty interesting and pretty fun. So just to kind of know what other people in the book world are interested in and into, I think that's just amazing. Okay, I will see you in the next video. I might not be filming more today because it is still raining and it is still gloomy outside. Not so great for lighting. But we are gonna go to the fair soon, and that's super fun for the kids, and this video will be up in a couple weeks. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your summer. Bye!